Hello Holleuffers, welcome back to Ant Holleufer. If you're not yet part of the Holleufer family, go down and hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell icon while you are at it. Today we are looking at the Camponotus Herculeanus colony, and they have finally broken my 2-year-long Camponotus curse. So before we get into this whole curse thing, let's just talk a little bit about the colony. And this right here is the colony. So the colony currently has 4 workers, and if you remember, last year before hibernation they had 5. So during hibernation one of the workers sadly died, and when I took them out of hibernation around 2 weeks later another worker died. So they were sadly down to only 3 workers. But luckily I had high hopes because I looked at all of this brood, and as you can see they have a lot of cocoons and a lot of larvae. And for a Camponotus species, meaning they are really slow growing, this is really a lot, at least in my eyes. So last week a new worker finally hatched. And why is this such a big thing for me? Well, that is because this is the first time ever a Camponotus worker have been laid in an egg, gone into larvae stage, gone into cocoon stage, and hatched into an adult worker. This right here is the worker in her beautiful orange color, and that is because her exoskeleton hasn't hardened to get the more black red color yet. But yeah, I have never had a worker go from egg to larvae to cocoon to hatching before now. With my Camponotus Vegas colony, they did come with a few larvae which then pupae and got into workers, but the queen never laid an egg that made it all the way to an adult worker in my care. And that is both because I did a lot of bad things with the Vegas colony, but also just because I was a bit unlucky. And again, also the Camponotus Freudianus colony has just been having such a hard time. They are now down to 2 workers, and once again they have eaten all of their brood. So when I finally saw a newborn here in this colony, I was so relieved, because after losing 2 workers in this colony, I thought that this was going to start once again. But luckily we had a new worker, and in general it looks like the colony is growing well. So I fed the colony a little bit of honey to just get some good recording shots, and as you can see, these shots are pretty amazing, not gonna lie. But I found it really interesting seeing through this macro lens how the workers actually kind of sipped a little bit on the honey and then kind of just took a bite. And that is something I haven't really seen before. So while the workers was over feasting on the honey, I saw this worker having an egg or something in its mouth, and I was a little bit in doubt whether this was a little bit of honey that it was trying to feed to the larvae. And I'm not sure because it also kind of looks like she once again eats the egg larvae thing right now. Let me know what you think is going on in the comments below, because I'm not really sure. So I was recording the queen a little when I suddenly noticed a giant larvae just wiggling in the background. And I don't know if it's just because this colony is so huge, but I had never seen this before. Of course I knew larvae would move around, but this was pure craziness. So I'm not sure if it's trying to call for food or if it's starting to spin its cocoon. If you know what's going on here, please let me know in the comments below, because I am really curious. This larvae just kept moving back and forward during my whole recording session, and in my opinion I think it's because it's trying to get attention because it's hungry, but it could also be because it is starting to spin its cocoon. I'm not too sure, so leave a comment down below if you have an idea of what's going on. But you can clearly see that all the other larvae are just complete standing still and not moving at all. But once again, while I recorded the worker sipping on the honey, they just kind of sipped it and then just took a big bite. And I just thought this looked so weird. Again, I'd never seen this because, well, my other colonies are so small. But the way that they just kind of take a giant bite and just sucks it all in is so weird to me. So I wanted to record a little bit of all the ants going back and forward, because there were quite a lot of action during my little feeding session. We had 3 workers overeating. So with the colony being so cruel and all of this, another cool thing is the size difference between the workers. Camponotus Herculeanus is a colony that can get majors later on, but already now there's a huge difference between the big workers and the small workers. So I also got a little clip of a worker being a little bit stuck in the honey, kind of having this little string attached, and I don't know if that's a little hair in the honey or if that's just some normal thing. I just found it a little bit weird, so I wanted to share it with you all. And just again, I'm sorry for showing all of these honey clips. I just find it so amazing being able to see how they are sipping and how they are kind of sucking the honey up. And with that all out of the way, it is now a new day. The honey is out, and it's the day where we're gonna feed the protein. But as you can see, guys, we have another major cocoon on the way, almost the size of the large worker. So I think we have another big worker coming out, which is just so amazing to me. So 3 fruit flies are now inside, and immediately the workers, of course, smelled that there was something different, a new scent in their test tube, and we had the first worker going over to see what it was all about. And to be honest, I was so disappointed when I saw this. I remember last time I fed my Camponotus, they were completely crazy over there was food inside, and they were just going crazy all about it. And today this worker is just like, nah, I'm pretty fed from last week, but thank you. And I was just so disappointed. I really thought that the workers would just take a fruit fly and then carry it over to the brood, or at least see a few more workers attend to the fruit fly. But nothing really happened. A secondary worker walked over there, but it almost took 5 minutes before 3 workers had walked 5 centimeters to go over and feast. And I don't know if it's because the fruit flies were frozen and they were drying up, or why, but they weren't that interested. At least they kind of just licked the fruit fly without really taking a big bite of it. And I don't know if that's normal or not, but I just found it kind of funny that they wouldn't just drag it over to the queen, as she was literally so close. But finally, a worker did decide to take a fruit fly, and the long journey of carrying it all the way over to the queen had begun. It wasn't off to a great start with the worker pulling it up instead of left, but you know, they gotta figure out how to do it. When a secondary worker then joined to pull it for real and the first worker decided to pull it the other way, I was kind of getting the sense of, this is not going to happen today. Because this miscommunication is just, yeah, it's amazing how clever ants can be sometimes and how not clever ants can be sometimes. What impressed me really much during this feeding session was how calm the queen were. She was just staying back, not really going crazy or anything. Normally she is really sensitive, she can go crazy with just vibrations. But she didn't even walk out of her brood pile. She was just standing on top of the brood and awaiting to be fed. So another angle of how struggling this worker had it. I don't know why she didn't just pull it left, but you know, it was better to pull a little bit up. I'm not sure why she didn't just pull it, but clearly she had a really tough time. But yeah, 10 minutes later, all 3 fruit flies were almost located at the same place as we started, and only 1 worker was feasting. This really impressed me, just how calm the whole colony were. They were just staying back, 2 or 3 workers at the time, and in comparison to how happy they were with the hunting yesterday, I was really bummed because I thought I would get some amazing shots. But yeah guys, this definitely wasn't the case today. But you know what? I don't really care, because the most important thing is that they have finally got a new worker and my Camponotus curse is finally over. And yeah guys, not much to update on, to be honest, but that is because Camponotus colonies are very slow growing, at least most colonies are, and my Herculeanus are really slow. I'm really happy for this colony because it is growing, and the slower a colony grows, the more exciting it gets every time a new worker hatches. So therefore this is a really exciting colony to follow from my perspective, even though since last video only one thing can happen, and that is one worker died. So yeah, and with that all out of the way, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see all of you in another video.